Hey, I'm Jason Scott Montoya, and I'm here with my friend Don Neder. Don and I have been friends for years, probably a decade now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
We originally met through the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, and then Don actually participated in the Island Story experience that I ran, and that's where we got to know each other real well on a weekly basis for about a year. So, Don, welcome to the interview, the Inspirational People, and I'm looking forward to sharing what you have to share with others
Thanks, Jason. Looking forward to it myself. This is
Yeah.
fun.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What's your story? What do you do? And just introduce us to the Don.
Okay. I'm from Texas, born and raised in Houston. Sad that the Astros lost the World Series last night. Unfortunate. I had confidence they were going to do it, but life moves on, right?
Yeah.
So born and raised in Houston, middle child of five, and I moved to Atlanta. Mostly I was in the technology industry for my career. Started with Compaq. Actually owned a franchise in the 80s in
Oh
Southern
wow.
Louisiana selling PCs called Entree Computer Center. And then went to work for Compaq
Okay.
20 years. And
Yeah.
fast forward, Compaq transferred me to Georgia in 1998. So I've been here for a little over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And, love living in the Atlanta area, and I'm traveling back to Houston as often as I can to see my mom, who just turned 93.
Okay.
So the one of the things I did once I got here, and where we got a chance to get to know one another, is I opened up a business in 2007 called
Okay.
Speed Pro Imaging in the Norcross area. It's a franchise that I purchased, opened it up, operated it, and
And
the
what does a Speed Pro do? What type of a business is that?
sure the Speed Pro is what's called wide format graphics or wide format imaging. We
Yeah.
produce big, beautiful graphics, and they're used for trade shows, for vehicle wraps,
Yeah.
point of sale, window graphics, signage. There's anything that's with an image on it,
Yeah.
Speed Pro can produce it.
Okay. So you went from Compact to Speed Pro, or was there anything in between?
There were, yeah, sure. I was one of the many that went with a .com in the 2000s that turned into a
Mm,
.bomb,
yeah.
and so that changed my course just a little bit,
Yeah.
and ended up with Unisys in their state practice in Georgia. And then
Okay.
when the economy started going south in 2007, 6 and 7, and started slowing down, um, Unisys decided that Georgia was not a priority state for them any longer.
Yeah.
So I was looking, and just my heart wasn't in going to work for someone else again.
So you
I'd
had
owned
this like a seed of entrepreneurship, or were you
Oh
just
yeah, it had always been there. I owned a business in the 80s, a franchise as well.
oh, okay?
I loved it, but that one got caught up in a recession as well.
Mm,
Southern Louisiana, with the oil industry specifically, had a recession that didn't impact the rest of the country, but
oh,
it's
okay.
25% unemployment where I was.
Wow.
And of course, it was fun and exciting working for a company like Compaq at the kind of the dawn of the technology
Yeah.
age. So that was just a really fun time. So I loved doing that, but
Yeah.
I was
Well, is
ready to
it?
get back.
Yeah. And I was gonna say it's interesting that you started with Compact when it was the technology was rising, and then Compact ends up they ended up kind of shutting down, selling out, and closing down, right?
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
HP bought Compaq bought DEC, and then HP bought Compaq, and that's right at the time that I received this opportunity with the .com,
Yeah.
and pursued that. So I kind of left in the well, they had announced that they were going to be purchasing Compaq, but it hadn't occurred yet. But
Okay.
it seemed like a good opportunity at the time.
Yeah. So you're not at Speed Pro anymore. So tell us about
Right.
how that happened and what you're doing now.
Well, I had a kind of a major change over the last few years, and just through people like yourself that I met, who really opened my eyes up to a wider range of ways to see
Yeah.
business and to see life.
Yeah.
It just kind of opened up the thinking in my mind in terms of where I wanted to go, what was important. I applied it to Speed Pro, and that was my priority. Of course, was focusing on the business. But um, as I got further into it, and I've had owned and operated Speed Pro for 12 years. Then 4 years ago, great guy, John Barber, joined me as a business partner, and together we continued to grow the business. And it was a great experience. There's nothing running a small business, as you know, is hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. And there's so much to do and so much that can happen. But I loved it. And I loved the particular industry I was in. I loved Speed Pro, and I loved my customers and the creativity that we were always around, and graphics. And it was always something fun and different to be part of. Then kind of fast forward to the last couple years. Actually, go back a little bit. Another customer that I had met, a guy who brought Orange Theory Fitness to Georgia.
Okay.
Havel. I just got to know him really well. They were a customer of ours. He invited me to a Christmas party that they were having, and he was just always so calm. Just didn't matter in the face of any adversity or stress or issues. He was just calm. It was just like, how do you do this?
And you're a pretty calm guy too. So to say that this person was super calm is saying something.
Yeah, well, sometimes there's the outward and there's the
inward.
And when I say running a small business is hard, one of the things that of course creates is stress, anxiety,
the unknowns.
So many things to think about and worry about.
Yeah, especially when you have a team and they're relying on you and their families.
Sure. Yeah. You got employees and you got customers you can't disappoint, and deadlines, and it's just the drill.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's not for everybody. It's a great environment to be part of. It's just exciting, but it comes with its baggage as well. But at this party, this Christmas party that Pavel invited me to, he talked about a book by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now.
Okay.
It's all about being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Past doesn't exist. Futures doesn't. It's right now. This moment we're sharing, this right now is what exists.
Yeah.
And it's just it kind of calmed me down. It slowed me down a little bit, and I understood better where he was getting his strength to do that. It wasn't any magic. He just was living in the present moment, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you say that because when I shut down Noodlehead or through the end season, I went through, I don't know how long it was, but it was a few months of this mental dance between the future and the past. And I would go to the past and I would get or the future, and the anxiety and stress, everything just sort of built up. But because I was shutting down the company, it was like all the memories and history of that journey were coming to mind, and they were going through my mind. But as I would think about the past or the future, I would start to mentally unravel. And what it did is it was almost like this discipline exercise where I was learning to be present in the moment, because going to the future was unpleasant, going to the past, but going to the present was the one thing that I could do. And it was an interesting, something I can't quite explain, but this discipline exercise to be in the now, as you describe it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and guess what? Being in the present also allows you to be the most productive you can be.
Yeah.
Because if you are focused on past events or future, then something's gonna slip through the cracks today.
Yes.
That you need to be focused on.
And a lot of entrepreneurs are that way. Is we can be so futuristic and visionary that it's almost like we're already there, and we're just like everyone needs to catch up with us. But it's not real. So people can't really catch up with us because there's nothing for them to come to, So entrepreneurs, I think, really do a disservice which ends up being towards people by not being in the now, the way they're treating people, or the way they're stewarding things. They're thinking, well, once we get to the future, all of our problems will go away, but that's not really the case.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a disservice, not just to themselves, but to their families, to their employees, to their customers, to their vendors, to everybody that they come in contact with, really.
Yeah. So continue on.
Of course, I met a lot of great people at Speed Pro, a lot of great customers, and developed a lot of friendships. And one of those was a gentleman who came into the studio and one day, 2.5, 3 years ago, and mentioned something called Wim Hof.
Yeah, Wim Hof.
Wim Hof. He's a Dutchman, and he. It's a long story that I won't go into here, you can come to one of my classes. I'll tell you about
Yeah.
later. But he's a Dutchman who developed a kind of a combination of a way to stay healthy, a way to reduce anxiety and reduce stress, which was, very appealing to me as running the business,
Yeah.
through a combination of breathing, mindset,
Yeah.
and cold water, cold exposure.
Hmm.
And so I started, really understanding the science behind it and getting into it. And it really, I mean, I can't tell you how impactful it was on just my ability to operate at Speed Pro.
And
It's
was it,
literally,
was, when you say that, are you talking about the cold or the breathing, or did you do them both from the beginning?
it was a combination of all three, and it really what it did in that environment. A lot of times I mean, there's a lot of physiology to it, and when you do this, there's things that will happen inside your body whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, just
It's on its own track.
right. You just are the tool to make it happen.
Yeah.
And one of the major benefits, and particularly for me, it was just reducing stress and anxiety.
Hmm.
I literally, it didn't matter what was going on. I could just stay calm
Yeah.
and stay focused on what I had to do. So I just kind of became a tool, if you will. And, with being present in the moment, when you combine everything, it helped,
Yeah.
as far as, operating within the business.
Yeah.
And
Interesting. So yeah, go on.
no, I'm just going to say, if you want to reach peak performance, we talk about working smarter. Um, it's one thing to work smarter, right?
Yeah.
Operationally, sales, marketing, whatever you have to do, we gotta be smart about what we do. At the same time, isn't it smart to make sure your body is optimal for even doing that? Okay, you
Yeah.
need to make sure that you're dealing with stress, you're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with situations in the best possible way that you can. That you've prepared your mind and your body
Yeah.
to
It's kind
give
of,
you.
yeah, it makes me think of like driving a car, right? I can, if I have a flat tire, my car can drive with a flat tire, but it doesn't mean I should drive my car with a flat tire.
That's
I
right.
should get it fixed, or and operate in a way that's in line with how the vehicle was designed. What I'm hearing from you is we need to operate in the way that our body is designed, so that we can actually perform at the highest level, which is what we ultimately want.
Yeah, and unfortunately, unlike the car where you have a flat tire, a lot of times you may think you're operating in an optimal way, but you don't. That's because that's what you know, and
Yeah.
you haven't had a chance to tap into available tools that are
Yeah.
free. I mean, just using your own body to impact how you can handle and respond to situations.
Yeah, yeah. So you've gone from this, what I find interesting, or maybe even ironic to some degree, is you've gone so from Speed Pro to this Wim Hof. You can tell us a little bit about what that is in terms of your business. But what I also find interesting is how it's in such stark contrast to your technological background. From
Right.
compact and the technology boom to now mindfulness and breathing and health. So tell me about that transition, or that flip,
Sure.
that paradigm flip, and then how you're sort of leveraging this to build a new business for yourself.
Well, Jason, I found a way to kind of string these all together, because when I went from the technology world into Speed Pro, which was a more of a world of creativity, I
Yeah,
still kept my big toe in the technology waters because we're working with some pretty sophisticated equipment
yeah,
that, we could make it do a lot of cool things as long as we understood it and how
yeah,
to use it. So there was always a lot that we were, from a technology perspective, that we were, dealing with to make sure we could provide the best results to our customers.
yeah.
And then, so fast forward that to what I'm doing now, and I should throw in here that, I had mentioned my partner John Barber.
Okay.
Really over the last year, I feel like what I'm doing now has kind of become my purpose,
Yeah,
and John could see that, and and John wanted to continue to grow and flourish with Speed Pro. And I'd kind of been asking the universe to conspire on my behalf, and John, made me an offer to buy me out.
yeah,
And so he is the sole owner and doing a great job with Speed Pro now, and it allowed me to. And this is fresh. I mean, this is literally within the last 2 months.
yeah,
Allow me to go and focus on on what I'm trying to do with this, my new company. I call it Flowgevity.
Okay.
It's really focused on not lifestyle changes,
Yeah.
on helping people live their life in a way that they can enjoy it mentally and physically.
Hmm.
So I kind
Which
of
is
look
what
at
it did for you by participating in
it,
it.
it's exactly because
Yeah.
it's, I look at life in thirds, if you will. I'm 66. I'm in the last third of my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to make damn sure that I'm there to enjoy it
Hmm.
mentally. All
Yeah.
right. So I don't want Alzheimer's or dementia or any of those awful diseases.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to be there to enjoy it physically.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm going to be kayaking on a beautiful mountain lake on my 80th birthday.
Yeah.
Not only will I be there doing that, I'll get myself there too. I won't
Yeah.
need help from anybody. So I'm making that investment now to do it.
Yeah.
So whether someone's looking at the last third, maybe the last 2/3 of their life or more,
Yeah.
uh, because longevity is an interesting word and it continues to change
Mm.
in terms of the population.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's never too late to impact your longevity.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm focused on, is helping people find ways to just use themselves, use their bodies, and avoid disease,
Yeah.
minimize, being subjected to the medical industry that is as it's morphed into this huge, pharmaceuticals and
Yeah.
medical treating symptoms and not the root causes
Yeah.
of whatever may be the issue.
More symptom
So,
treating than
right.
problem solving. Yeah.
So the Wim Hof method kind of becomes one of the methods I use to help people avoid disease, to do
Yeah.
that amongst some other things that I do.
And so you're doing stuff in the now that future Don is going to thank you very much so for
Yeah,
doing.
exactly. There's another great book from the 80s called The Road Less Traveled, which talked about and this is something, it's becoming a lost art, and that is the ability to practice delayed gratification.
Mm.
The So we're all into immediate gratification, and I think within the education system right now, that's one of the issues that teachers are dealing with,
Yeah.
is the need for immediate gratification, because a lot of children haven't been taught that. Okay,
Yeah.
that delayed gratification is very healthy.
Yeah.
I I have to mow the yard today. Oh, you know what? I'll just wait and do it tomorrow. Then
Hmm.
tomorrow comes and go, well, I wish I'd done that yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So if I did mow it today, when tomorrow comes, I feel good because it's out of my way. I got my day to
Yeah.
do what I want.
I'm like,
So
thank you,
it's just a
past Jason.
simple example.
Yeah.
And what I've learned with what I'm doing and what I'm teaching people is that you still get the instant gratification, because when you practice what I'm doing, you're releasing endorphins. You're doing a lot of things that just make you feel good, make you feel
Yeah.
energized and pumped and ready for the day. But at the same time, it's the ultimate in delayed gratification, because it's my health. So the
Yeah.
work, it's not even work. The fun I'm doing now, and like 10 to 15 minutes a day,
Yeah.
I know is going to allow me to be on that lake when I'm 80, and
Hmm.
allow me at 90 to do what I want to be doing and to be there and
Yeah.
not be a burden on someone in my family.
Yeah. So now this is something that I think most people, when you talk about health and our body and our mind, we ought to be healthy. We ought to take care of it, but we don't. So what is it that shifted for you that you said, I want to live better?
Um, it was a false health scare or
Yeah.
alarm. I think it was about 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I had a long story, but I had my carotid arteries, ultrasound for my carotid arteries, and this guy said that they were 80 and 88% blocked. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to die any
Yeah.
minute. Just don't do anything, because you're probably going to have a stroke.
Mm.
So, I went to a cardiologist. He put me through tons of tests and came back. And when I went to his office to find out, of course, I'm using Google and finding out all the terrible things that I'm facing and what could be happening to me and what surgeries I'm sure I'm going to have. He goes like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "What do you mean? What am I doing here?" He said, "Why are you in my office? Your carotid arteries are 10 and 12% blocked. They're
Mm.
fine. They're normal for your age. Just some quack misread the ultrasound and misinterpreted it and came up with the wrong results.
Mm.
It was totally wrong."
So you were
But
given almost like a blessing of this scare, but it wasn't real, so you were able to actually benefit from it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that I took immediate action. It opened my mind up to considering some other things along with the power of now and then this health scare. I started reading books about meditation. So I started
Yeah.
meditating. um, I started doing more stretching and yoga. I started doing aerobic exercise for my cardiovascular system, my
Yeah.
heart. I started, I'm not even gonna say eating a lot better, but I would eliminated sodas. I eliminated fast
Yeah.
food. I, ate vegetarian once in a while. I did look at what I was eating, ate more. So I drank a lot more water. So I just started doing things that were healthier, that allowed me to. I didn't really have a plan or a strategy at the time. These were just okay. Notionally, these seemed like,
The
all right, these
stepping stones.
good steps to take. Yeah, building blocks. And then when a customer came into my studio and told me about this guy Wim Hof, that was like the aha moment. The light
Mm.
bulb went off when I started. When I first did it, it was like, that's cool, but it felt more like a parlor trick because I could, like, without doing anything, I held my breath for 2.5 minutes. I was like,
Yeah.
how's that possible? And it was a cool trick. I can't wait to win some bets with some guys in a bar doing that. But then I started looking at the science behind it and understanding what was actually happening inside my body when I did it. It's like, damn, this stuff works. And there's a reason we go through the process of this technique, because there are specific things happening inside our bodies that help ward off bacteria and viruses from even catching a disease to begin with,
Yeah.
that help you deal with anxiety, that help you deal with stressful environments, with
Yeah.
depression and any autoimmune disease. So there's a lot of, so I just, then all of a sudden I had my base, if you will, for these stepping stones or building blocks
Yeah.
that I could build on, that I knew was the platform that could give me
Mm.
the lifetime of health.
Yeah.
And so one of my messages is, it's not too late.
It's not too
I
late.
started
Yeah.
that in my 60s,
Yeah.
and it's not too late. So
Well,
anybody listening, you can focus on your health at any point in your life.
yeah. So it's interesting you say that, because I, when we did the island story, I shared that with a lot of people, and really the essence of the story is to understand the journey we've been on, and then the journey, like you said, what does it look like at 80? I'm kayaking in the river, so creating a vision for my life, and then how do I get there? And I shared it with a couple ladies who are older, and they're like around late 50s, and they love the story and they love the message, but they kind of were depressed because they're like, it's too late for us. We can't be intentional with our lives going forward.
Right.
And I was so sad because I didn't agree with that.
It
But
is sad.
that's,
It's never too late.
yeah.
Yes,
So
and that's why I mentioned the Wim Hof method is 3 pillars: breathing and cold. But the third one, which I have now come to the conclusion after not thinking this way the first year I was practicing this, is mindset.
mm,
It's the power of the mind is incredible, and I undersold it for so many years. When I say the power of the mind, I'm talking about the ability to control it, to
yeah.
influence my body, to control my body, to control how I react to things, how I
Hmm.
respond, and to make good choices, good
Yeah.
decisions. And it's all in the mind. So I train my mind so the lizard brain isn't making decisions for me as
Yeah.
much as it has in the past. And
Hmm.
I'm constantly, kind of fighting that and evolving it to where I'm making more and more conscious decisions versus something else doing it for me.
Impulsively responding to things. Yeah. So it sounds like, I talk in my blog, I write about systems and stories to live better, to
Right.
work smarter. And it sounds like you've gone through this transformation of what that means. So when you think about those phrases, live better, work smarter, like how would you define that in your new paradigm here?
Sure. Well, I will say, I'm reading a great book, Path of the Freelancer.
I see you've got
And
it on the shelf there. Looks good.
yes, I do. Uh, and it's really interesting because I am focused on myself in terms of health, but
Yeah.
helping others do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So still, I have a purpose,
Yeah.
and I have a mission, and I have a vision and strategies and goals to help make that happen, just as you talk about
Yeah.
in the book. and you laid out really very well on how to actually ask the right questions of yourself to
Mm-hmm.
determine that. But I look at it not so much now as business systems as life systems.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I can put it into a corporate context.
Yeah.
Um, I can help a business owner optimize themselves so they can better run their business, better
Yeah.
respond to situations and opportunities and
Mm-hmm.
adversity, whether it's from reduced stress or reduced anxiety or maybe more confidence in the decisions that they're making. So it's more of a life system, as I
Yeah.
said, versus
So
a business system.
so let's say a business, you say this to a business owner and they say, Don, I love what you're saying. It sounds great. Awesome. I don't have time for this. What's your response?
Well, from two perspectives. First, personally for that individual to say, I don't have time. I understand. I've been there
Yeah.
where I thought I didn't have time. But after I went through the health scare, all of a sudden I discovered, you know what? I did have 15 minutes to meditate in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I did have, and my whole schedule changed. I started getting up earlier. I started developing better sleep habits and
Yeah.
going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time every day. And I kept adding more things that I would do in the morning. I added
Yeah.
stretching. I added aerobic exercise. And but when you say you don't have enough time, it's really um, at the end of the day, as far as projecting your health,
Yeah.
you can do it in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean I can teach people.
Starts. Yeah.
I mean, just sitting at their desk and they're getting ready to walk into a stressful meeting
Yeah.
or a stressful customer meeting or whatever it may be. There's some very simple tools that take 30 seconds to
Yeah.
calm you down to lower anxiety. All right,
Yeah.
and better clear your mind to be
Mm-hmm.
prepared for that moment. So
Yeah.
there's, I tell them there are ways to find the time, but
Yeah.
also if you look at it from their corporate perspective, not their individual perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, they're busy, but what's the value of having employees that are healthy, that have fewer sick days, that
Mm-hmm.
have higher productivity? Is it worth taking a few hours out of one day, one time to help make that happen, or
Because
to
if people are having personal issues, whether they're mental or physical, that's going to derail the efforts of the business, especially a small business.
yeah, I mean, and just people give in. Probably the all the diseases that are the number one killers in our lives today have a very common root cause, and that root cause starts with stress. Then
Yeah.
it turns into chronic stress. I mean, we're chased by the bear all day sitting at our
Yeah.
desk because we have these awesome devices
Mm-hmm.
that allow us to um, always be connected,
Yeah.
always be connected to the world. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
often,
So
as business owners, we become business owners to be free, but yet we become enslaved.
right, and so do all of your employees.
Yeah.
And so that leads to chronic stress, which then leads to inflammation in your blood, which is now the gateway to disease. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's cancer or cardiovascular systems or diabetes or any number of terrible things Alzheimer's that can happen,
Yeah.
we can we don't have to go to the doctor. Um, I mean, unless are sick or you are already suffering from something awful, but we can prevent that from having happen
Yeah.
in the
You're
future.
wanting to be preventive versus reactive is what I think I'm hearing
Absolutely,
from you.
and
Yeah.
it's so now tell me you don't have enough time to do that because
Yeah.
uh, I read a great line that okay, I don't have time today, but you probably will in 10 years when you get that bad disease.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just avoid getting it in 10 years.
Yeah, so I think of like when the commercials, they talk about smoking, like every cigarette you smoke is like 10 minutes off your life or
Right,
something.
right,
And, it's this a similar thing. Whereas if you don't do it now, you're going to pay for it later. So do you want to do
right.
it now and pay your due, or do it later and pay it with interest?
Right.
So,
So, but I kind of go back to the systems and
yeah.
whether you're again personal or running your business, it's there's nothing wrong with having a system for yourself and a system
Mhm.
that helps ensure you're going to be there for your family and for
Yeah,
your business.
exactly. So let's kind of shift towards, you're talking about what does it look like to live better, work smarter, systems and stories. So, part of I think what I'm hearing from you is that you don't just want to, you're not content to just do that for yourself, but you want to help others do that. So what does it mean for you now to be a leader and to lead others to live better and work smarter in your life as a whole, but also in the work that you're now doing?
Well, I'll be honest and say that I surprised myself that once I learned this method and decided that I wanted to become an instructor, because at the time I was 63 years
Yeah.
old, and I immediately, very quickly knew that this was going to have a positive impact on my life. And there's millions and millions of baby boomers out there. That was my initial thought.
Mm,
Baby boomers. Said, it's not too late. I can help other baby boomers live the last third of their lives in a way they can enjoy mentally and physically. And that became like this passion of mine.
yeah.
It just, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't asking for it. It just, I woke up and it's like, I need to help other people do this,
Yeah.
because they may think it's too late, and it's not. And it turns out that I work with all ages. It's not just baby boomers, but
Hmm.
that was what initially kind of got me started.
Yeah.
That gave me the insight to, this is what I need to do. This is
Hmm.
now my passion and my purpose.
Hmm. And what is it that you want for other people?
I want them to know that they can take control, all right, of their minds, of their bodies, and in a way that influences them to be healthy.
Yeah.
Um, and it's, it sounds like a lot of woo woo. It's not. It's just, it's all science, and that's really, that we talked about, keeping my big toe in technology. And in this
Yeah.
case, it's the science behind it.
Hmm.
I was an awful science student in high school. I avoided classes like the plague
Yeah.
as much as I could, but now I can't get enough of just
Hmm.
understanding. Wow, if I just take 30 deep breaths
Yeah.
and do this, then my pH levels going up inside my body. This adrenaline's being, all these, my cortisol levels are going down. All these things are happening,
Yeah.
whether I want them to or not. All
Yeah.
right. So just I had 2 stress tests done as part of my annual physical. One, because I didn't, I failed it in the last 30 seconds one year,
Okay.
and the doctor said, you're going on blood pressure medication.
Mm.
Didn't ask me any questions about why I failed it, what my blood pressure had always been good, what changed in my life. Just, here, you're taking these pills.
Yeah.
And I never did. I didn't. I filled the prescription, but I never took one of those things. But I
Yeah.
said, I'm going to figure this out. What happened? What caused my blood pressure to go up in the first place?
Yeah.
And I figured it out. I started drinking a tea from South America that I loved, and I was drinking 400 milligrams of caffeine every day for 3 months before that physical.
Mm.
So I eliminated it. Fast forward to the next year, I go into the doctor and say, Doc, I challenged him, said, you didn't ask me any questions. You didn't say anything to me or ask me anything about why my blood, to try to figure out what happened instead of
Yeah.
just treating the symptom. He said, Don, I'll tell you a dirty little secret of the medical industry is, it's easier to treat a symptom than it is to change a lifestyle. He
Mm.
said, you changed yours, so I applaud you, but not everybody is going to do that.
Mm.
Um, so it just,
But it seems like they could at least give you the option, the pills or change your lifestyle, as opposed to just assume you're not going to do the lifestyle choice.
at least try.
Yeah.
And at least give it the old college effort to,
And present
but
the option. Because I imagine at least maybe younger folks, they may not know there is another option, right? If they're just given the pills, they may think that is the only option when there actually are others.
right. I mean, the whole key is to hopefully avoid going to the doctor in the first place.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you need to, I mean, what I do is no guarantees I'll never get sick,
Yeah.
right? What I'm trying to do is avoid the things that can kill me or can disable me.
Hmm.
If I get flu once in a while or a cold, fine.
Yeah.
But my goal is to avoid the rest of it. And what I learned is I can.
Hmm.
Going back to the science, now that I understand what is happening, um, there's so many ways I can influence my body and the changes that are happening within it, which obviously ties back into the business community. Because if you have an owner and employees that are that are healthy,
Yeah.
that are happy, that are strong, it's going to be a better environment for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's, when I talk about living better and working smarter, two ways that I really lean into on how to do that is systems, as we talked about, and stories. So are there any impactful stories that you've heard, whether they're real or fictional or somewhere in between, that have really had an impact on you or really resonated or helped you see something differently than you might have seen before hearing that story?
Yeah, and I've kind of, probably the one that was most impactful was when I mentioned Pavel and Orange Theory Fitness,
Okay.
because up until that point, I was, I guess, just like a lot of people. I lived my life, and I had a business, and I went to work every day, and I did my best to operate the business in a way that would make it profitable and sustainable for myself and my family and our employees and for our customers who had come to rely on us.
Yeah.
So I was pretty open-minded when it came to running the business, but closed-minded when it came to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Figured, this is the path I'm on. And, what happened with Pavel, that story, really, it just opened my mind up. It made me consider where in the past there's no reason. I hadn't been exposed in a way that made me think along these lines of,
Yeah.
there's a different way. And so when I started kind of understanding about being present in the moment, it kept opening up my mind to other ideas and ways.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything, what was it specifically that was there anything specifically that triggered it, or was it just the whole thing?
Just the whole thing. It was just in this particular case, I guess specifically, it was just how was he being so calm all the time,
mm-hmm.
in the face of what I knew was, and I talked to the contractor. They're building new locations of Orange Theory Fitnesses. It was very
very
chaotic.
stressful thing, and yet he was doing it so well.
He was
You were
just doing it
inspired.
so calmly, yes.
Yeah.
And it happened. And he very focused, was able to kind of multitask a lot of different things at the same time. Because I watched him do it, and it was inspiring for me.
Yeah.
To see that.
Yeah. So let's kind of shift to systems here. What are some of the specific systems that you're using, that have helped you, that would be curiosity inducing for those listening?
Well, when you say systems, I'm thinking of specifically, some of the things I'm doing in terms of what I've learned and what I became an instructor for, primarily the Wim Hof Method, which is as I've mentioned now, this is a combination of a very specific breathing technique,
mm-hmm.
With mindset and commitment and
mm-hmm.
cold water. When I teach a class, everybody gets into an ice bath for 2 minutes.
How cold is that water? Almost frozen?
It's 32 degrees. It's a tub full of water and 80 to 100 pounds of ice, depending on how many people are in the class. And we get in there, and it's almost life altering, because when you do something like that, because I think it's healthy to challenge your mind and your body to doing things that you normally wouldn't do or consider doing or are afraid even of doing. It's just a way to grow.
I expect for many people it's highly emotional. Is that what the case?
It can be. There can be. I had a student here just in the last month who came to the class specifically because she had a fear of the cold. She was afraid of the cold.
Wow.
And she confronted that fear.
Yeah.
And she got into the ice bath and did great.
Yeah.
At the end of the class. So, I prepare them and talk to them about how we handle it, how we deal with getting into the ice and the shock on the system.
Yeah.
How we calm the nerves and calm the body and calm the mind.
Yeah.
And we can focus. Because when you're in an ice bath, there are no bills. There's no problem child or problem customer. There's just the cold.
Yeah.
And your mind.
It's what you're feeling in that moment.
You're instantly focused on just one thing. And
that's surviving. Interesting. And even, I don't know that pain is the right word, but when you think about pain and suffering, there is something about that type of experience that does bring us into the present. We can't escape it, if you will. So the cold, so how long do for someone going in for the first time, how long are they in there?
For 2 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
they can stay longer if they want, but
Yeah.
just 2 minutes is what we shoot for.
Yeah. And how long are you doing it on a daily basis?
I get in as in this morning, for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
Yeah.
I bought an old chest freezer. I sealed the inside and I filled it with water, and I keep it around 45 degrees.
Yeah.
And I get in it. I try to get in twice a day. Sometimes just once a day, because
Yeah.
it feels good now. I
Yeah.
enjoy and it's funny because it gives you what your body needs in the mornings. It just energizes you. You come out of there, it's like going into, for people who tried cryotherapy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I did a class recently at Alpharetta Wellness.
Yeah.
And I take it, I'm sorry, it was at Wellness Theory in
Oh, okay.
Alpharetta.
Yeah.
That we finished the class with cryotherapy instead of the ice baths.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was just, it was a cool experience, but it was cold exposure. So it just kind of, it brings your mind into focus where you can kind of feel what's happening.
Yeah. And so I'm from Arizona, and we used to hike down to the Colorado River, right where it comes out from the Glen Canyon Dam. And so we'd hike down in there, and then we would jump in the water, but it's the water from the bottom of the lake. So it's like
cold.
Super cold. It's almost freezing. In some cases, it actually can be colder than freezing because it's a river. So it's a moving,
Right.
so it doesn't freeze. But we would jump in, and man, it was so brutal. But I do remember, like, it was so getting out was such a refreshing feeling that was quite unique. So yeah.
And I say I take ice baths. People don't have to go to that level or that extreme.
Yeah.
Primarily though, I take nothing but cold showers.
Yeah.
And the reason I got the chest freezer and the water temperature in Atlanta coming out of the tap in the summertime
Yeah.
isn't super cold, even though
Yeah.
it may feel cold relative to the temperature at
Yeah.
the time, but it's just not really cold enough.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So this breathing, this cold, any other systems that you want to share?
Sure. I also I teach in general another system I learned called Oxygen Advantage, where
Okay.
the Wim Hof Method is a specific breathing technique to achieve a specific result of your health.
Mm-hmm.
The Oxygen Advantage is what's the right way to breathe 24 hours a day for human beings? What's the
Okay.
most, not efficient, but the most effective, and efficient, I suppose, but it's just, what can we do to make sure we're optimizing our opportunity to give our bodies what it needs to be and remain healthy, from how you sleep while you're breathing, and how you sitting around every day.
Yeah.
And then I teach simple, and I'm learning these. I mean, I'm not a novice, but I'm by no means am I an expert on just various, people hear the term now, biohacks. Well,
Okay.
there's a lot of systems in there. Here's a simple one right now. I'll give you and everybody. Say you're getting ready to walk into a big meeting at work.
Yeah.
And you're nervous or anxious about it.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Just let it out very slowly. When you do that, you just activated the vagus nerve, which is your parasympathetic nervous system. You just calmed yourself down. So it's a great way. The Boston Red Sox pitchers use this when they're on the mound. Just a way to settle down in a stressful environment, stressful situation. So I use that all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I didn't think of it that way, but sometimes when I do like public speaking, I almost do that to just sort of reset myself. So when I go into it, I kind of have control, and I wasn't necessarily realizing that's what I was doing, but that's kind of what I'm doing. So
yep, there you go. So I mean, there's a lot of them that just make sense.
Yeah.
And there's others that don't make as much sense, but they're incredibly effective. I mean, this one will sound weird. I sleep at night with my mouth taped shut.
Okay.
Some surgical tape that 3M makes, because I was breathing through my mouth.
Okay.
You wake up with a dry mouth, then you're breathing through your mouth when you sleep, and that's not healthy. It's going to impact your quality of your sleep. It's going to impact your gums, your dental. hygiene. Your body's not producing nitric oxide as it does when you breathe through your nose, which helps dilate your cardiovascular system and keep it healthy. It's a lot of downsides. So you snore more when you sleep.
Well, what causes someone to breathe through their mouth instead of their nose?
It could be any number of reasons. It could be from the sleeping position they're in. It can be from congestion, possibly.
Yeah.
Just from from the position, just their mouth falls open.
Yeah.
But primarily, maybe it's getting more. It can lead to sleep apnea also. So it's another way to help avoid that. But I just make myself breathe through my nose while I'm sleeping.
Okay, interesting.
So there's any number of systems and biohacks that are out there, and it's a kind of a huge emerging industry that is growing out there right now. That I'm the Wim Hof Method is a biohack. I'm influencing my body to control my immune system. I'm influencing my body to prevent disease.
Yeah.
I'm just using my breath to do that. I mean, it's a pretty awesome way to
that's pretty cool.
Yourself.
So as we kind of close out here, life can be unfair, it can be challenging, but there's also moments of joy and prosperity. So as people traverse this journey we call life, what parting words of wisdom would you share with them?
I'd say that you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, you owe it to God, you owe it to those around you to put the work in now, make the effort now to ensure that you have health for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the person we read about too often that's, jogging down the road or, out of town or at the store and just, has a heart attack or stroke and keels over dead.
Yeah.
Didn't have a chance to tell their family they love them or say goodbye or anything. And, it's not just avoiding that, but it's just having a plan, just like you would for your business.
Yeah.
And having some strategies and some goals with your health. And I'm not talking about hiring personal trainers or going to the gym every day. I'm talking about simple techniques and tools that you can learn in the privacy of your home and practice each day. You don't have to spend money on them that will help you be there. 15, 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I guess the thing I'm thinking of when you say all that is stewardship. Like we've been given this hugely valuable body. We need to take care of it as we would take care of our children, as we would take care of our home, as we would take care of our business, right? And so what does that mean to do that well with excellence? And as part of being grateful for what we've been given, stewardship, I think, is a natural response.
I agree. And I think, what I learned is that I always assumed that was like, wow, I just kind of kept it up here, in my mind somewhere. Okay, I know I need to think about that, but it's just too overwhelming. It's not, and it doesn't have to be. It's so simple. It's so easy to do in a short period of time each day that it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
In fact, it's less overwhelming to steward a little bit along the way in the now than to let it accumulate into the future, and then we have to deal with it all at once, which is overwhelming.
Right, and you don't have to go from 0 to 100 at once. You can go from 0 to the
one.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's just do a couple things that get us developing some good habits.
Yeah.
And even though maybe we still have a bad diet or we're not actually whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just introduce a little bit at a time and take us down the road. That's why I like the Wim Hof Method, because it's something that's so easy to do in such a short period of time that has a huge impact. Then you can start building upon that once you establish that habit.
Yeah. So, and it makes me think of, for me, writing, right? When I started journaling in 2009, 2010, and I didn't actually start blogging until 2014. So I did it for 4 or 5 years before I ever started blogging, right? Then I started blogging from 2014 to 2000. And then I published my first book, Path of the Freelancer, in 2017. So that was 3 years later, right? And then now we are 10 years from when I started journaling. I've recently published my second book for small business owners. But in a lot of ways, the habit of writing was the key to be able to make all of this work. And it started a long time ago in a very small way, and it progressed and grew a little bit over time until I was writing a book.
Yeah, and when you started, it was a need that you had.
Yeah.
And then as you developed it, it became a habit, and it had its own rewards.
Exactly. So, wonderful book called The Power of Habit. Have you heard of that book before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, by Charles Duhigg. Check it out after you read it. We can get together and talk about it, but just some amazing stuff. They talk about habits for individuals, habits for teams, and habits for cultural change. And so there's 3 sections of the book that explore that. And it's just talks about how to form a habit and a lot of research and science behind it. So it's pretty neat. So, Don, as we close out here, tell us about, thank you for sharing all your insights and stories. How can people connect with you? How can they learn about what you're doing, and how can they work with you or get more involved with, with what you're doing?
First, let me say thank you to you, Jason. You've been a great friend, and you've given me some awesome advice over the years. And I really love participating in the Island Story and going through that process with you.
Yeah,
it was great information and a great way to view life and the business that I was running at the time. So my new business is called Flowgevity. I have a website, flowgevity.com. It's FLOWGEVITY.
Okay. Flowgevity.com. All right.
Right. Please go check it out. I post on there, classes I have and, what I'm doing and a little bit of information on it and links to the science and other information about it.
All right, cool.
I've set up if you've heard of the app Meetup, I set up a meetup group in Atlanta for Wim Hof Atlanta. So,
and how can people just Google Wim Hof Method Atlanta and Meetup and it'll pop up?
Go to the Meetup group and just Google Wim Hof Method Atlanta. Okay. And I'm going to do free events in there. It'll be climbing Stone Mountain for a guided breathing session for sunrise. Sunday morning, or maybe this winter we'll go into the Chattahoochee River.
Okay.
And just experience some cold water flowing over our bodies, and we'll climb Stone Mountain on a cold winter morning in our shorts. We'll do some fun, or we'll just get together for coffee and talk about biohacking and ways to influence the health in your body. But that's also going to be in there. Certainly, email is don@flowgevity.com.
Okay.
I have a personal Facebook page. If someone wants to be friends on there, I post a lot on health, but also I have a Flowgevity page on Facebook.
Okay.
Instagram is coming. I finally started, but there's not a lot there yet. But certainly I'll be out on Instagram as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely put some links to that. So you got the website, flowgevity.com, Meetup, Facebook, and then Instagram's coming. Anything else? Do you have anything? I guess the Meetup's the way to find out about the next events. If someone's interested, go ahead.
Yeah, also on my webpage.
In the website, okay.
Because I schedule Wim Hof classes on a probably I did 5 in October.
Okay.
November, December, probably doing 2 or 3 per month. So the links will be on there. Always email me if you have questions or on specific dates. If you want me to do a class, I'll be scheduling corporate stuff, as far as, helping employees. So there's any number of things they can do as far as engaging, in practicing. You can even go to wimhofmethod.com. And he's got a 3-minute video on there to show you how to do the class. I mean, you don't have to come to pay me. You can do that. If you just want more detail, more information, make sure you're doing it right. Then
that's where the class
is a great way to do it.
So the class is a great starting point. Now, what if someone, wants you as their coach, or wants to kind of wants almost like a personal coach on not just the breathing, but the cold therapy, sort of the whole package? Is that something you're doing or offering?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very open. I mean, this is new ground for me. And as I define my kind of business systems in terms of what, right now I'm just doing as many clients. I'm just getting the word out as much as I can. That, hey, it's your body, and you actually do have a lot more control over it than you think you do. and
Mm-hmm.
I just show people how to make that happen.
Cool. Great. Any last words before we wrap up here?
Just again, want to thank you. Anybody who is interested in improving their health, I love it. I love the idea of the whole concept of I'm in charge and I'm in control,
Yeah.
and I wish that for everybody. And just if nothing else, just start reading about it and finding your own path in terms of how you might be able to achieve that.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Don. I appreciate you sharing, about your story, your journey, the systems, and the lessons learned along the way. And that concludes our time together today for growing your life. And I'm Jason Scott Montoya. You can check out other stories from inspirational people at jasonscottmontoya.com. Thank you very much, Don, and we'll see you around.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.